This is Steve Bruce for BLR. The Family and Medical Leave Act, as you undoubtedly know if you're an HR professional or employer, is one of the trickiest aspects of personnel management. In this video series, we examine scenarios with FMLA implications similar to those your supervisors or managers could face. Then, we explain whether the supervisor handled the situation correctly and what other considerations should be made when handling a similar situation. In this scenario, we've got an employer faced with a Department of Labor investigation and a supervisor who demonstrates lack of understanding of the FMLA.
John with the Department of Labor. As part of our audit of your facility, we'd like to look at your administration of FMLA at Acme.
Sure, what do you want to know?
Well, for starters, do you have a written policy?
Oh, well, we don't have a written policy, but I'm sure we follow the law.
Okay, I'm sure you know about the state law that recognizes same-sex marriage. So what's your policy on giving time off to someone whose same-sex partner is, say, in the hospital?
You mean like family and medical leave?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to worry about that. We don't recognize same-sex marriage here because of our owner's religious objections.
There are a few separate issues here. First, the employer apparently has no written policy. Are employers required to have a written FMLA policy under federal law? Meanwhile, what about the FMLA's rule regarding same-sex marriages and spousal leave, and the owner's religious objection to same-sex marriage? BLR's FMLA expert Susan Schoenfeld explains.
Thanks, Steve. While employers are not actually required to have a written FMLA policy, it is highly recommended because a well-crafted policy will give employees ample notice of their rights and responsibilities under the law. Now, in addition, every employer covered by FMLA is required to post a general FMLA notice in the workplace explaining FMLA's provisions and providing information regarding the procedures for filing a complaint with the U.S. Department of Labor of an alleged violation of the FMLA. Now, the current FMLA regulations define an FMLA-covered spouse as a husband or a wife, as defined or recognized under the state law for the purposes of marriage in the state where the marriage was celebrated, the so-called place of celebration rule. Now, under the current definition of a FMLA-covered spouse, eligible employees may take FMLA leave to care for a same-sex spouse if they were married in a state that recognizes same-sex marriage. Now, as for a private employer's religious objections to the spousal coverage, these will not shield the employer from its obligations under the FMLA. Now, finally, what could have been done to better prepare Sally for the DOL investigator's questions? Well, in a word, training. If the employer did have an FMLA policy, Sally should have been trained on that policy. And at the very least, Sally should have been trained on the basic requirements of the FMLA. So be sure to discuss your FMLA policy and leave procedures so that leave requests are identified and properly handled.
Thanks, Susan. For more instructive guidance on real-life FMLA scenarios, see our next video in this series. And to learn how to adjust your policies and practices to ensure compliance with the changing regulatory landscape, attend our FMLA Masterclass for employers. Invest just one day to become even more proficient in FMLA administration and learn how to handle employees' questions and management's top concerns with greater confidence. You'll get the very latest FMLA compliance tactics, and you'll enhance your advanced practitioner skill set when you attend this satisfaction guaranteed event led by skilled attorneys in your area. Learn more about the FMLA Masterclass, including upcoming dates and cities, by visiting store.blr.com/events.